But as you see, he's successful on Lee Sin, he's successful on some of these other jungle picks. Maybe it's not actually worth banning. So we'll see what Fnatic decides.
Well, Elise is still available, Thresh is still up. We haven't actually seen a huge value on banning away the Thresh, but yesterday, Xpecial did have some fantastic hooks on that champion. You had a great performance, so I wonder if you are Fnatic to just take it away, but instead, they're just going to stick with the convention, and they're going to say, you know what, MikeYeung, we don't want you to be the first team to give you Nidalee and find out what all the hype is about.
So Phoenix1, for their side, will have their pick of other strong early game junglers, and it ends up being the Elise that falls into MikeYeung's hands.
Not that big of a deal here, though. I feel like for Fnatic, you know, the priority obviously being given over to that Elise, but, you know, Corki is up. That's something you can take away. Lee Sin you can take away. Gragas you can take away. So I don't think that it's the most effective first pick unless MikeYeung can really go off on it. Because had they grabbed something like the Corki or the Gragas or whatever, you're always going to get Lee Sin or Elise anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there were other options. Personally, I'm a little surprised that Fnatic put so much early investment on getting themselves a safe champion for caps. Usually they go for something like the Gragas that gives them a little bit of flexibility, or their support down the bottom lane.
For this pick in particular, it's also the takeaway from Ryu. You have to remember that both the games that P1 has won, Ryu went off. You know, he had about 12 kills in the first game. He was deathless in the second Corki game. He has been a monster on the champion in this tournament specifically. So I think it's both, right? It's a safe mid lane blind pick, but it's also stealing it away from Ryu and making him show that he can be successful on something else.
Absolutely. Of course, Broxah, he picked himself up some comfort on that Lee Sin, but we'll see if we're going to see some more comfort for Xpecial. Looks like it is as the Thresh is locked in. Well, what are they going to be doing here? Timer's ticking down, but
I think Gragas would make a lot of sense if they're going to go to lock that in. I don't know if there's a problem here. Okay,
a little delayed, slightly delayed. There we go. The timer's back up, and it's going to be the Renekton for Zig.
I think going for the Renekton means that you have a guaranteed safe top laner, but you're also asking sOAZ to pick Gnar right now, because not only is this a champion that he had a lot of success with early on in the split during the regular season of the EU LCS, but also a really good matchup. If they choose not to prioritize it now, I feel like it needs to be a ban for Phoenix1. And I think that a Rumble would also be a pretty solid ban to make sure that they can get a favorable matchup for the Renekton.
It's definitely fair, but at the same time, there's been so much priority on tanks for sOAZ, and you know, if he wants to default to something like the Galio or the Shen or the Gragas, those are all fine matchups for the Renekton, something that he can bully out. You know, building the Black Cleaver is naturally going to work pretty well against that, so it looks like it's going to be more of a focus actually on Rekkles, with Kennen taken away, Tristana now banned out. They could just throw even more bans at Rekkles, who has not really been having as varied of a champion pool.
Surprise, it's Corki AD carry.
I mean, that would be the trick, wouldn't it?
I mean, it would be the trick, right?
A surprise, but sometimes a surprise is not what you want.
Yeah, no, maybe not. But Rekkles is an AD carry that definitely has his comfort picks. There is the Vayne. I think it would be very bold and ambitious to bring it out. But just looking at other AD carries like Varus and Ashe, still very safe. With Caitlyn taken off the ball, I wonder if they do ban away the Twitch right now.
The thing is, it's like, I think banning away Twitch makes a lot of sense. Yes, obviously Rekkles can play Caitlyn, he can play, you know, Ashe and Varus and the kind of standard stuff, but that is not the type of playstyle that Fnatic uses. They put him in the side lanes, they allow him to soak up all this farm, they allow him to get these big advantages, and that is really not what you want an Ashe doing, not what you want a Varus doing. So P1 is putting Rekkles a bit outside that comfort zone that he has been kind of living in this split, and they'll have to show that they can play a more group-focused game, an initiation-style AD carry from Fnatic, unless they want to go something crazy.
I just feel a Vayne coming. I don't.
The thing is, if you go Vayne, well, okay, I mean, they could try to last pick it, but Arrow was actually famous for his Draven, right? So if they had locked in,
you're right,
a Vayne here, that would have been, I think, very unlucky for them, as Draven hard smashes.
I mean, is he really going to preempt that? I don't know about this.
No, I don't think he is.
But Phoenix1 have done what no team in Europe has done to Fnatic this split, which is ban 3 champions against Rekkles. The only 3 he's played this split.
Now, what H2K tried in the semifinals of Spring, and then he brought out the Vayne, and then they lost, right? But that's why I'm just mindful. Like, they have a fair amount of roaming in their composition. The fact that the Corki has the package, the fact that the Galio has the ulti, they have means of playing towards the bottom side of the map. But I think that we are forgetting champions like the Jhin as well, and Fogmore's available.
Arrow's having fun with it.
Yeah, and Arrow actually does play Jhin quite frequently. He plays the Kog'Maw. He can play, you know, the Varus. He plays all those utility-style picks. He's going to be going with the Jhin. I think it's a very strong combo. You know, in coordination with the Thresh, you can have that follow-up if you can hit one of those CCs with the Elise coming in. It's so easy to layer a hook or a flay into the Jhin route, into a Cocoon, and that really does put a ton of pressure onto the bot lane of Fnatic, knowing that MikeYeung could come down there.
So we've got 7 seconds left.
Oh, it's ADC Corki!
The surprise! Classic Rekkles. Always surprising everyone.
Yeah, even when it's a Corki. Yeah,
Now,
what a weird season.
I actually think that Fnatic has a truly awful team comp, and here is why. So this is the thing. You're like, I got you. It's Corki AD carry. Haha, our whole team is magic damage. Your only physical damage is coming from the Lee Sin. This is not the old Corki. It is almost purely magic damage. You can stack magic resistance so easily on someone like the Renekton, you know, build into a Maw of Malmortius, a Spirit Visage. You can build tank on Elise. You can have the Thresh. You can be so efficient with a Banshee's Veil on your LeBlanc, you know, a Maw on the Jhin. It's like they're so one-dimensional in their composition that Fnatic essentially has to win early, or I feel like your composition is awful later in the game.
I completely agree with you, Azael. There is nothing that I disagree with, but it's Fnatic. This is a team,
but they still trick them though.
No, but they conventionally defy expectations. Like they did exactly the same thing with the Vayne, and they somehow found ways to come back into the game. And you spoke so much about the early game. The composition from Phoenix1 is all about the early game. LeBlanc has great early pressure against the Syndra. It's a fairly even skill matchup that there's a lot of opportunity, but Elise, Renekton, you're looking at all those dives top, you're looking for early plays, and with the Thresh roaming around with MikeYeung like we've seen in the past, I'm expecting P1 to have that early game control.
So you're putting yourself in a position where you must win early game against an early game comp, and that is very concerning. Fnatic could still win through superior play, through playmaking, through domination of lanes,
but it's not looking good.
But it's an uphill battle from the start.
All right, gentlemen. I have one thing I know for sure. This game is going to get off to a flying start. As we load up onto Summoner's Rift, Fnatic are going to have a tough mountain to climb. And Phoenix1 looking to pad those stats of the NA teams.
I'm so used to casting with Freak that I thought it was a Corki pun. and then I looked over at his face and he wasn't smiling, and I realized it was just, you know, a generic statement there.
I mean, if you want, I can sit down and
went fine. Doing a great job, Pyra.
Fantastic.
But man, this is going to be exciting because in the previous game that we had, C9 versus G2, everyone was expecting slow game, one big team fight to determine everything. That is not what we will have with P1 versus Fnatic. All about early game action. So much skirmishing is going to be going on across the map, and so much of it should be coming from the two junglers. Broxah, his first split in the LCS was in spring of this year, where he took the place of Amazing. And for MikeYeung, he came in very early on into this split, or very recently rather, and he's already off to a great start, very similar to the story of Broxah.
Yeah, and I mean, if Broxah can take over this early game, you can outpace the defensive itemization of your opponents, right? If you are up items, if you can get to the void staffs and stuff at an early clip, then all of a sudden, this magic resistance that's being stacked isn't as potent.
I gotta say though, I'm a little disappointed that we get the line of scrimmage after all this exciting early game talk. But,
well, I mean, it's pretty risky, right? Like, you know as Fnatic, if you lose early, you are certainly in trouble. So if you go for a level 1 invade and you die, that would be very problematic. If it works, you have a chance to
take a leaf out of the unicorn's book.
High risk, high reward. You have to remember that Fnatic, they're not a dumb team. They are definitely unconventional, and they take a lot of risks, but there are also a lot of calculated risk. And while I completely agree with Azael. I think that this composition has very core weaknesses. Its pick potential and its sieging capabilities, along with the team fight, could be strong early on into the game before magic resistance is really built. Because on an Elise, you're more likely to build something like the Runic Echoes. The Renekton, he's going to be going for something like a Black Cleaver. Like, you have the Gunblade on the mid laner, and then you're going to have a Ghost Blade on someone like the Jhin. So in the first 15 to 20 minutes, there's still a big window for Fnatic where their composition still has a fair amount of damage.
There certainly is. And if you win your lanes, if you could knock down the bottom turret early, you can rotate mid. LeBlanc does not have safe wave clear. Jhin does not really excel with the wave clear there either. MikeYeung lying in wait. He's level 2 though.
Oh, insta-flash out from Broxah. He's not going to win that 1v1.
I mean, that's not a level 3 Elise, so he doesn't even have to.
I don't.
They could come up and try to threaten that. But
I don't know why he flashed that, because MikeYeung doesn't have.
I don't think he saw that he was level 2, right?
So it's just a respect flash, right?
You see the Elise, he flashes, he's expecting the Cocoon to come out. did not realize that his opponent had not hit that higher level yet.
All right, heading up towards the top side, see if we can get sOAZ off to a good start, but Zig's already heading down.
Yeah, Zig actually had gotten the wave shoved in, so is going to be able to back off in time and is making a roam to try to spot out where Broxah may be. And he is going to spot Broxah. The roam coming in already from Xpecial and MikeYeung. They are looking for caps. We'll see if they can make the play happen. Cleanse is available.
Ryu does miss the change, though, and looks like he's going to Scout of the Week on to Xpecial, gets the flay off, and he has to flash the hook. In goes MikeYeung for round 2. But Broxah tags his way forward, and he manages to get a Sonic Wave out.
That
no
was
follow-up.
Pretty ambitious from MikeYeung because they had not forced the cleanse. So even if he hits that cocoon, I'm not sure they get the kill. But either way, they do force the flash out of caps.
And this is very much what we were talking about during the pregame. The simple fact is there's so much moving around the map with Xpecial and MikeYeung that it makes Caps' life so difficult. Something that the NA teams have been doing so much is this pressure as Broxah looks for a gank up top.
Zig showing the respect to it. The wave is going to push back to him, so he doesn't have to ever go up. He should be sitting back and waiting for this wave to crash. We also have to note that at the same time, Arrow was forced to flash as Xpecial roam mid.
Yeah, and that ties back to the point. The fact that Xpecial roams around the map so much means that Arrow is forced to lane by himself. And someone like a Corki, not conventional AD carry, someone that you're probably not as used to playing against, and his burst damage in lane can be quite high against an AD carry that doesn't have a huge amount of mobility.
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy for a braum Corki to just jump to a minion, Valk in, and be able to actually force that out. You know, all it took was the exhaust from Jesiz, so they did get some advantages there, and that has put their bot lane behind. We'll see if they can actually recoup that or make good on the advantages that they got mid lane to have that roam be worthwhile.
It's going to be tough for Arrow in this laning phase for a little while, but as we have seen in the NA LCS, when he has pulled out this Jhin, it has been to pretty solid success. Phoenix1.
15 KDA, I think it's more than solid.
Yeah, well, you know, I like to understate things.
It's not bad.
I've seen better KDAs, Azael.
Well, he is playing against Rekkles.
Yeah.
Has one of the most incredible KDAs, and that's a big reason why there has been so much hype around Fnatic coming into this event. They've been so dominant in Europe, look so good in the early game, in the late game, playing unique styles, and they just haven't been able to have it come together in this tournament yet.
No, I've been very impressed with the way in which the North American squads have just come over and said, oh, that's very nice. I'm glad you guys have your own unique styles. Welcome to early game junglers. We have a lot of them, and we've been just not giving you an opportunity to get to your style and your playmaking opportunity as P1 look for a Roman.
Yeah, but Jesiz is already here. So is Broxah. They have not been spotted. This could go bad for P1.
Oh, Rio looking for the dodge, and he gets the lantern. Yoink right back, but now they've turned their attention onto Xpecial, and it's a 3v3 skirmish as Phoenix1 trying to make their escape, and Xpecial is left for dead. First blood to Broxah.
And you have to give so much praise to Jesiz because he saw that the cocoon was going to land down onto Broxah, and that could have been the window for P1 to get the turnaround onto Fnatic. But he flashes in front of the cocoon, there's still the follow-up from the rest of the team, and then they can get the kill down onto Xpecial and get pressure down the bottom lane.
It really did seem like some miscommunication there, though, from P1 as Xpecial was going forward. MikeYeung and Ryu were just walking out. So they wanted to disengage. They did not want to take that fight once they realized it was a 3v3, but Xpecial thought they could manage it. They could not. Really well set up play from Fnatic to be there lying in wait. Broxah off to a good start here in the early game, perhaps getting Fnatic the advantage that they need.
Cap spotting out Zig as he roamed over behind that wall, and gonna be a hard walk back to the safety of the mid lane.
Yeah, Caps is going to be kind of zoned out here.
Yeah,
we'll see if sOAZ just comes over to try to help make that a little bit easier. sOAZ could walk through and be able to do that wave flare for him.
All right. Owen is going to go on anyone else. Mutually assured destruction. They're not going to be going any further forward.
So things slowing down ever so slightly. Gold is still fairly even, just the first blood difference going in favor of Fnatic as the trading will continue in the middle lane. Ryu trying to assert some dominance.
Ooh, Scout of the Week there. Now Jesiz and Broxah taking their way back down to the bottom side, looking for Arrow.
MikeYeung is also here, though. They have to be careful. The root lands.
Oh, half health now on the Lee Sin, and they're going to be able to pull the braum back in, straight to the cocoon. Instant exhaust. Foss bomb, and it looks like Jesiz is trying desperately to get back to safety. No flash on him, and he's going to go down with one more shot. It's Arrow who fires away.
And a good turnaround gank down in the bottom lane from P1. They had the control ward in the river. They wanted to try and answer the pressure from Broxah down in the bottom lane, and because MikeYeung was there and he was able to add the root, he's looking for a little bit more.
Yeah, he's actually wrapping around here. They will spot them out on the blue. We'll see what he decides to go for.
Broxah's low.
Broxah is very low.
Oh boy, still 2-on-1. MikeYeung feel that bold right now. Early smite for the health, and it looks like Caps is going to pull the blue buff. No steal attempt.
Yeah, really well played, but still Corki going to get zoned off. MikeYeung is wrapping around. The Jhin ultimate is up. TP's coming in from sOAZ.
Instant flash, but Rekkles is still going to take 2 shots at the curtain call as Phoenix1 have opened fire here. sOAZ coming in, flashing forward for the shielded Durant.
Nice play.
Is denied by Xpecial. Arrow walks it out.
Zig with a really good TP cancel. A lot of confidence shown that his team can actually disengage. Now he gets to shove in the wave fully. CS is going to be lost there by sOAZ, and he's going to get some good damage down on the turret. So a nice TP from sOAZ to save Rekkles, but still, they don't get anything out of it.
And I love the fact that P1 are continuing with the pressure. This is something that we saw them the last time they played up against Fnatic, but Fnatic were always finding ways to trade objectives. But right now, P1 are having more control over the map. They're utilizing the vision control and understanding of where Fnatic are, and they're setting up their plays in a way with which Fnatic are just forced to scramble and try to respond, and it's always P1 coming out ahead.
That's tough now for Fnatic as the timer on the early game that they have a chance to do something. Starting to run out. We're 9 minutes into this game. Rekkles has picked up the package. There's no one to deliver it to down on the bottom side.
I would have liked to see them utilize that package to try to set up something around the dragon. You know, bring down Broxah, have that package to be able to start up the Infernal, which is such a key dragon. And if you can do that, you can always disengage with the package or really look to heavily start a fight if you have the right people in place.
Might just need to do that, but still a little bit of time on this package, and looks like Fnatic aren't in a huge rush to try and chase it down. Ryu, though, looking for another kill. Caps is able to push him back on a Scout of the Week. Doesn't take as much damage as he was able to dish out, though. Now Arrow. Whoa! Okay, retreat package.
Wave clear.
There we go.
The big thing about like the package also being on an AD carry Corki is the fact that you don't have that same sort of roaming and dive power that you normally would with a mid lane Corki, right? Like, the fact is that you have so much mobility with the added movement speed that you get from it, along with the fact that it allows you to go from point A to point B so quickly that it's a great roaming tool and really easy to siege down early towers. But because it's forced down into the bottom lane, the best he can do it for is either look for roam mid or just use it for wave clear in the bottom lane.
And Corki also scales very heavily with levels. Getting the extra ranks of your ultimate in, and that's another reason why it is put mid lane over bot lane, because you have the solo experience. You can hit these power spikes much earlier, right? When you have the Triforce, when you have Circuits, when you have level 11 for the rank 2 rockets, it's very powerful. Ryu in some trouble.
Okay, let's see. He's able to walk it away. Still had flash. Caps didn't burn any summoners to try and pursue there. So all of his cooldowns were spent.
Zig is actually coming down behind the Syndra. He's not been spotted. Neither has MikeYeung. 3-man play.
Oh boy. Okay.
Caps respects it.
Walks it out. No Renekton on the top side, so you have to respect that he's going to be possibly in your face.
So I have to pay homage to Xpecial right now because we always have to talk about wards. It's a very important thing, and we have to just look at the vision from P1 because the amount of control that it gives them is amazing. They have so many control wards all the way through the river in both the bot side and the top side, which means that Fnatic are really struggling to find opportunities.
They got two. That's way more than one.
That's way more than Europe likes to put down.
100%
100% efficiency right there. But the fact is that it gives them so much ease to be able to take objectives like the Dragon. And Fnatic are really struggling to find options as people look for another play down bot.
Can't afford to give things up like that.
Oh, he got
still gets hooked, and Phoenix1 are looking to take out this bottom lane. MikeYeung bursted down, but he's still able to survive. Okay, that was some explosive potential down there in the 2v3.
Yeah, the Corki burst coming in so heavily. Really quick exhaust from Jesiz. It looked like it was going to be a very bad play from Fnatic once Rekkles got hooked in there and the 2-man play, but they're able to turn it around thanks to a lot of burst there out of the Corki.
Oh, yeah, I think MikeYeung expected that one.
No, definitely did.
Still 1-1 on the clock, but Phoenix1, they have that crucial Infernal Drake. Fnatic need to start making plays. And
it's about the fact that they're going to start being able to itemize very efficiently, like a Null Magic Mantle already picked up here from Ryu. You know, you can expect Zig to start building MR as he gets past his Black Cleaver. That is where you're starting to get more and more worried the later it gets into the game, and you can start to be extremely efficient with your itemization. So Fnatic definitely wants to try to increase the pace, look for some plays, and try to get an advantage before P1 can do that.
I wouldn't be surprised if we even saw a Hexdrinker come out from Arrow, just so that he's that bit stronger up against the Corki matchup, right? Like, he gives a fair amount of AD, the item itself looks perfectly fine. And
doubly against Syndra, right?
Yeah, right.
I think you build a full Maw.
So much value out of the item, and you can imagine that all of them will go Merc Dreads as well. So it's very much what you talked about. Right now, Fnatic do not have that early lead that we said they really needed to get for themselves, but the early game isn't quite quite over yet. We're only at the 13-minute mark, and P1, they're looking to continue with their proactivity.
Yeah, but this has been spotted out. Multiple members roaming up here from Fnatic. This is going to be a tough dive to pull off because braum and Elise are coming. We'll see if they can make it happen.
All right, how long is that health bar on sOAZ going to last? Not very, as they pull the kill and they just back right on out. Broxah trying to push them off, but they'll still be able to melt through this wave, and their own is coming up.
Yeah, I think sOAZ maybe could have tried to use the flash and the ultimate to retreat back to his team, try to buy a little bit more time there, but perhaps overestimating how tanky he was. If he could have survived under the turret, it could have worked out.
Oh, Caps!
Oh, he could get chased down here. Still flashes available for Ryu.
He's going to have some fancy footwork, but Ryu is deterred by Jesiz coming to the rescue. That was a close call.
Very close stuff from Caps, but while all this is happening, P1 are continuing their push in the top lane. There is no answer from the rest of Fnatic. The best that they can hope for is a trade from their AD carry, Rekkles, down in the bottom lane to get that tier 1. But P1, with this swap, have been able to accrue a significant early game lead, and now we're starting to question this composition from Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, not only do they get the first turret, they get 2. They're right over onto the Rift Herald. They should be able to pick this up as well. Broxah is still down there in the bot lane, and they're sending Zig now down to the bot lane. He has already picked up a cowl. Merktread's already completed on Ryu. They're starting to piece together some of this efficient magic resist itemization. We'll see how Fnatic can deal with it. They're not in trouble yet, but it's certainly trending badly for them.
And it's trending the way that we've seen from both these teams average throughout the tournament so far. Phoenix1, they tend to build up these gold leads, especially through a tower advantage. Fnatic just haven't been able to match it.
I like how MikeYeung just missed the cocoon on the skull, and he's like, nah, didn't want it anyway.
But to backtrack to this stat, like, this is extremely fascinating because typically what you'd expect from Fnatic is that they are actually, like, they're always willing to trade towers. They have one of the highest tower taking teams, but they're also one of the teams that loses the most towers too, because they're always willing to trade for objectives, and they're the kind of team that's super proactive, and they say, hey, look, we don't mind if we lose this tower because we're always going to get something back and a little bit more. Whereas so far in this tournament, they haven't been able to demonstrate that playstyle. And I just feel like it comes back to the early presence. Like, where has Broxah been in the early game? We've seen him be involved in 1 kill, but aside from that, it's all been about MikeYeung and Xpecial.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're not going to be able to rely on what they like to do in the later stages of the game, pushing on the side. Maybe the Corki can do that, but when everyone's itemized against what you can bring, I mean, it feels like they just get out-comped pretty easily.
Yeah, and I mean, P1 is showing respect to that, right? There's 3 Merktreads already completed at 15 minutes. Like, that's very atypical. It's because this is a team with A, a lot of CC, and B, a lot of magic damage. So it's an incredible item to be picking up. Rekkles, you know, he's going to be able to itemize into a Void Staff, so is Cap, so that is going to help to alleviate some of that problem, but you need a number of items before you really want to pick that up. Like, traditionally, you want to grab a couple before you actually do so.
So I was just back in right in full vision to Ryu there. Let's see, as Caps get stopped up, no follow-through from Arrow and Xpecial, who've taken their place in the mid lane. Zig still pushing on the bottom. And Ryu's going to be able to hold this. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of advantages or a lot of openings for Fnatic to really try to make a play here.
No, they really needed to make things happen during the laning phase. Bear in mind that you have a Syndra in the middle lane. You have a Corki braum down in the bottom. There were definitely windows or lanes that you could have tried to snowball if you're Broxah, but he tried to make a gank happen bot, and then it went awry and it went in the favor of P1. They never really put that much pressure in mid because it was Ryu that had the support of MikeYeung and Xpecial, and just the early game presence of P1 has outshone that of Fnatic, and now we're starting to see issues with their composition. And the later this game goes for P1, the better they're going to be able to itemize. And even though you expect this to be a more early game composition, like their mid game is still potent, and they can try and really abuse that.
Yep. Got themselves the Rift Herald as well to try and charge down into the mid lane. Here it goes, rearing up, right into the tower for about a good chunk of health damage. And Fnatic are going to be able to clean it up, but it's going to be a slow push.
Not really the best timing on it, though, because they didn't have a minion wave to come up with it, so they couldn't actually move up and get more damage down. Still better than nothing. You know, if it's going to expire, you should at least drop it to get some of that chunk damage down. The dragon is spawning, so that's perhaps what they were using it for, trying to just get that pressure over in the mid lane. They're already down here on the dragon. Fnatic not looking like they want to contest whatsoever, so it's going to be about Fnatic setting up for the top side, going for the vision in the blue side jungle of P1, and then trying to siege those turrets, and that'll be what they're looking to trade back.
Yeah. Fnatic just haven't been able to get a break on dragons this entire tournament. That's the 12th they've given up, and they just haven't been able to grab anything. Now Jesiz and Rekkles are going to try to get some time on that top, as you said. Plenty of wave clear to make it happen, but not a whole lot of minions just yet, as the next wave is still trying to arrive. And meanwhile, Phoenix1 are fixated on the mid, but Caps see if he can make a play. No, has to turn tail and run as Broxah at his back is the only assistance he has, and he's taking curtain calls, flashing away, but MikeYeung and Ryu are hot on his back. Playback by Xpecial, and Ryu gets one.
Oh, they're going to go for more. I mean, Fnatic is very far up here. Rekkles is trying to base. There's no way that's going to complete. He's going to go down too, I think.
Oh, has to Valk, and right into Xpecial's hook, pulled back and away, and nowhere for Rekkles to go. He's got a flash. And I don't think he's even going to use it. There is no chance here as Ryu grabs his second of the game.
And a beautiful fight from P1. They recognize that both Rekkles and Jesiz are in the top lane. They know that they can force a fight onto Caps because the best he's got is his flash, and there is so much chase power from the side of P1 that they so reliably get themselves two very quick kills.
Yeah, it was really well executed here from P1. Nice sidestep from Ryu, dodging out the Lee Sin Q, dodging out the Syndra stun, and Rekkles just hoping that P1 guesses wrong and checks somewhere else to not be able to stop that bait.
He gave his life for his support.
Got to do it sometimes.
Sometimes.
Even a KDA player has to die every once in a while.
Well, Ryu's got not too bad of a KDA himself, picking up 2 kills in the back of that fight, and even though he'd been holding Caps relatively well all game, now there's another threat that Fnatic have to worry about. And to top it off, you're starting to see these big item spikes here. Spirit Visage finished for Zig, so he's going to be real hard to kill by anybody on the Fnatic side.
Yeah, I mean, Xpecial is going to be building towards that locket. We could be seeing a Banshee's Veil second here for MikeYeung. Likely going to be seeing a Banshee's Veil probably purchased up by Ryu as well. Zig is getting collapsed on.
Right, time to test that.
He's going to be pretty
Spirit
tanky,
Visage right now. He is tanking it up, and he's got the assistance of MikeYeung. Teleport coming back in. Broxah turning his attention onto the jungler. Zig, he's flashing over the wall, and all of a sudden, looks like Ryu's a little bit out of his depth here as Broxah's able to lead him, but in comes Arrow and Xpecial. Round 2, taking down Rekkles Arrow with the big 4th shot. And sOAZ is going to make a hero's entrance on top of himself. Caps coming in. This has been a messy fight. Insta-cleanse the hook, and they turn onto Arrow. Fnatic are winning this one.
But Fnatic win a fight. We were expecting them to be so far behind in the mid game. We were expecting them to not have many options. They just go straight onto Zig down in the bottom lane. The rest of P1 try to answer the fight because they think they're stronger. But Fnatic, they just play the fight better and they come out ahead.
Yeah, and they had this jump on the fight, right? They're able to, even though Zig survives for so long, they're able to have this fight starting up much faster. They have more members here faster, so they're able to negate a lot of those disadvantages. And this is kind of part of the problem with having all this magic resist on Zig already. He's so hard to take down, but MikeYeung has been chunked out of the fight. Everyone is kind of coming in piecemeal. Ryu, great kick from Broxah, taking out Ryu. They execute him, and then despite all the magic resistance, I mean, Arrow has flashed forward. The rest of the squad has survived, and Caps comes in and is able to clean up even more kills.
And I love the instant cleanse as well, because he knows that as long as he gets his ulti down to Arrow, that is a team fight win, because Zig can't do anything anymore. MikeYeung can't really get into the fight, and you have to praise Broxah too in the way in which he just zoned MikeYeung for a huge amount of time. But the fact that Ryu just TPs into so many members, just awful.
Well, and I think credit to Broxah for zeroing him out, right? Ryu literally got no damage done as one of the strongest members in the game in that team fight, and that was really the critical juncture. Had Ryu been able to have a big contribution to that fight, it certainly could have gone P1's way, but Fnatic winning that fight buys them some more time, gets them kind of a second lease on life.
And they need that as soon as possible because P1 are going to force another fight.
Okay, Caps taking 1-2 shots, flayed back. The third is going to dodge right around him, but Arrow is still going to finish it off with a flourish, and now Jesiz all by himself with 3 Phoenix1 members. Make that 4 right on top of him. I don't think he's that unbreakable as they flay him back and just take him down. The Fangs go in, and MikeYeung picks up a kill.
Baron is up. They're not going to decide to go for that. Going to take the safer play. Go for mid lane. Xpecial. A few misses.
Okay, this time he throws the hook out. It's going to get dodged. MikeYeung on the cocoon manages to find Broxah. No more aggression there, and it looks like mid tower is on the menu as Phoenix1 will be able to fire it down.
Big miss there for Broxah. That could have been a kill back in favor of Fnatic, but instead it results in a big win for Phoenix1 once more. They force another great fight in the middle lane, constantly trying to make plays happen, and they're doing it by utilizing Arrow's ultimate. The amount of crowd control that it provides can really catch teams off guard, and while the braum is doing his best to try and mitigate some of the damage, the reality is Syndra can only do so much when there are all these people collapsing down upon you.
Fnatic does well to trade back that 1 kill. They do get Ryu down, but still the 2 kills and the turret going the way of P1. Certainly heavily in their advantage, and they are looking strong in this game, but Fnatic sieging up that mid lane turret, going to knock another one down, and they're staying close.
Yeah, not going down without a fight. Fnatic are still trying to keep that gold game the way it is. Getting a tower in the mid finally puts the goal within about 1,000. But Phoenix1, they just keep on piling up the magic resist. The Aegis coming out now for Xpecial.
The Banshee's Veil as well for MikeYeung. He's still going to get damage off that item, but the spell shield is going to be absolutely huge thanks to the Braum Q, the Syndra stun. So many single target abilities that really start the CC chains are heavily mitigated by this Banshee's Veil.
All right, I feel like this is the time when your jungler just has to go full solo queue and just build full damage. Forget
Full
tanking
AD
Broxah, just go
Elise
all AD.
He could go for it. I mean, so far he's having a good game. We saw what he can do to someone like Ryu, right? Like, if you can catch the Jhin, if you can catch someone like the Jhin or the LeBlanc and take them down immediately, that can turn the course of the fight,
And
right?
not building armor, right? So I mean, he has that chance.
I love the fact that he's going towards what looks like a Black Cleaver to shred the armor that only he will be able to take advantage of.
Well, the CDR is also very nice.
That's
for
true,
Lee
yeah,
Sin.
yeah. And the AD, of course. Like, there's a lot of value behind it. The item itself is great for Lee Sin too, but I just thought that was just a little ironic. Regardless, what you see right now is a bit of a stalemate between the two teams.
Maybe looking to try to pinch him, but yeah, sitting back for now. P1 does have double mount plus the Infernal, though.
Yep.
So at this point, if you get a pick, a Baron is certainly on the menu. 24 minutes into the game, that can be killed very, very quickly.
Yeah, Fnatic just have not been able to contest Drakes at all in caps.
He failed to steal it. The blue actually reset.
Yeah. Ryu walks away from it.
Yeah, Ryu walked away.
I think they both were just like, we're not getting it. All right, Fnatic, they're waiting and baiting this time around. 3 in the brush. Soon to add a few more. We'll see if Phoenix1 go a little bit too far forward.
It's also interesting to track some of the itemization here for Zig going towards the Blade of the Rune King. So that is very heavily itemizing towards this 1v1 against sOAZ. It's also very strong if Rekkles wants to go into the 1v1 in a side lane for the dueling potential there. So it's really hard for sOAZ to do almost anything against this Renekton, who usually would have to be building some armor and things that are not going to be as efficient against that Galio, but he can go straight from the 1v1.
Rekkles, he valved right into the hook of Xpecial, but he did not take nearly as much
Arrow
damage
has ulti here.
Arrow, they're all coming on in. Around the backside, Jez is trying to tank the front. And Ryu's not able to get anything done there on the back, and now they turn it back around, looking for Xpecial, who's forced to flash away right onto him. MikeYeung, the rest of Phoenix1 are scattering instant exhaust down. Fnatic, as a group, unleash the power onto MikeYeung is not enough to take him out, but that's going to open onto the Baron, it looks like.
And it's all thanks to sOAZ interrupting the teleport flank from Zig. MikeYeung is too low to get involved in the fray, and the fact that sOAZ was just able to keep that top laner out of the way, make it into a 4 versus 4, punish the fact that Xpecial and MikeYeung are still pretty squishy this early on into the game, get themselves the picks, and now they're going to get themselves the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, P1's not even looking. They realize way too late. We'll see if they can actually get some kills on the exit. They're going in.
Going in here. It looks like they got 3, and Zig is able to slice and dice his way to a kill onto Caps. They're going to find another onto Jesiz, removing 2 Baron buffs, and maybe even 3 as Broxah is caught up in the rest of them. A double kill for Ryu. 2 members of Fnatic surviving.
And now the question is, how much more can P1 get? Can they push with all these members down and knock down some of these turrets before they can respawn and get something out of the Baron? And sOAZ actually pretty low here.
Zig did not give up, but he's going to get taunted under tower range. sOAZ trying to hang out with the Winds of War. MikeYeung coming in. Let's see if he's got enough in the tank to keep it going, and Zig getting popped in, but he's going to be able to finish the kill. It is only Rekkles that remains with the Baron buff.
Rekkles is back, though, with the package. He's going to look for a couple kills.
Right into MikeYeung, 1 shot, 2 shot. The tower's going to do the rest, and now Zig bit off more than he could chew. Rekkles trying for 1 more, but Ryu coming in. Can Rekkles turn that one around? He does push him off for now.
So Zig gets away with his life, but 4 members of Fnatic lose the Baron, and they could have avoided it entirely. sOAZ, he could have just pressed B. He didn't have to go top to clear out that minion wave. He could have just gone back to base. And Broxah, he didn't have to stick around to the end of this fight. The fact that P1 were able to kill Caps and Jesiz should have been all, but Broxah tries to get a kill onto Arrow, but what was he hoping to get off the back of that as well? Sure, you killed the AD carry, but what else do you walk away from? At this point, just press B, sOAZ. You can get the minion wave after. Why do you have to stick around and try and get that farm when you could have just walked away with the Baron buff?
Yeah, a bit of a greedy move there from sOAZ. I think he's just concerned about the fact that there's so many more members of P1 up and that they can go for the push after the play. So trying to cut that wave, thinks he can get away with it. At least Rekkles does trade back 1 kill, but it costs him the package 2 summoners as well. So a bit of a pricey one.
Man, nearly good Zig there, but of course, Ryu was able to turn it around, and he could have gone down as well. Fortunately, Ryu didn't want to hang around too long inside the range of that invulnerable tower with the mid tier 2 still standing. So Fnatic are going to try and utilize Rekkles to push down at least one wave with those Baron empowered minions, but it's still going to be harder and harder for them. 28 minutes on the clock. They have half the kills of the opposition, but the gold is dead even.
Yeah, and they did take the Baron away at least, so P1 with that double mountain don't really get any immediate payoff for that just yet. Fnatic just going to group up mid. It looks like have sOAZ in the side lane where he can group with his ultimate. Ryu is very far out, and remember, there's not good wave clear on the P1 team. So if Ryu is not with the team, if Zig is not with the team, it's very hard for them to hold this turret. I feel like it's probably just going to go down. But Fnatic is backing off, nervous of the flank.
Yeah, they do not want to take another fight. Ryu is looking for an opening to try and delete someone off the face of the map. And Fnatic getting a little skittish here, and you see that this game has gone up and down.
And the fact that Fnatic have been able to find opportunities back into the game has still been pretty promising for them overall. The fact that they are, we have been concerned about their composition, and the fact that they have been able to find these victorious fights is good for them as they come from the flank.
Oh, the Crocodile is big. They found Broxah. Ryu was trying to finish it off, and he will. It looks like Arrow gets the credit for that one, but Fnatic scrambling to try and run away, but the curtain call has opened up. Jesiz pulled on in. sOAZ gets a big knockup, wins the war, not enough damage, and Zig tanks the ultimate out of caps. Can't find the damage to finish that job up, and Phoenix1 might be bleeding a little bit on the health bars, but they are strong as 5.
So earlier on, Fnatic won a team fight because Zig was not able to come in for the flank, but this time he gets the successful teleport. Thanks to all of the wards that P1 had through the river, they get the flank down onto Fnatic, and even though Rekkles had the Baron buff, they are not able to get very much off the back of it. P1 always finding these great fights, and they're going to get themselves a 3rd man in Drake to boot.
Yeah, just taking another of those neutral objectives, and Zig is so strong at this point. I mean, he's about 3,000 gold ahead of sOAZ in that one-on-one, comes in for the flank, and just look at how quickly Broxah is going down to the combination of Ryu and Zig. They know that they can pile in, go forward, and tank up so much of this damage, and Cap's looking for the kill on this Renekton, gonna expend the ultimate, but it was a very good locket coming out of Xpecial to negate a lot of it.
Yeah, things are looking very, very rough for Fnatic right now. Even more magic resistances continue to be stacked by that of P1. And I feel like the best hope for Fnatic right now is that they can just find more of these 3v3, 4v4 fights that just don't include Zig, because he is such a big front line, and Fnatic really don't have the damage or any kind of burst to just shred through the resistances that he's built up for himself.
Yeah, and if sOAZ can just neutralize him, keep him in a side lane, and just hold him there, it's so much better if he doesn't join the fight, as long as Zig does not join the fight too, right? You have your team with a much better chance in that 4v4, because then Broxah, if he can make a play, if he can kick in Arrow or Ryu, so much of the threat is gone from the team.
Yeah, but he's going to need to do quite a lot, pulling double duty here, as Fnatic are still struggling. Gold has been close, but the Dragons have made a huge difference. The resistances have made a massive difference now. Zig is going to be checking into 2, but will they even be able to take him down? They're not interested. Rekkles still hanging out here, but I don't think he's going to want to stick on the Croc.
And even if they go on him, yeah, maybe you can eventually take him down, but this is a 3 damage item, essentially, Renekton. This guy's ridiculously strong. Like, you need more than 2 members to ensure that you're going to kill him and not die yourself.
Yeah, looks like they're going to send 2 down for the time being, but Rekkles just is more interested in the wave. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Looking for Zig. Flashes for Flash.
Wow.
That was anticlimactic.
Fnatic really committing hard to try and put some pressure down to Zig and try to get his flash. His teleport is available. The fact that Fnatic are just, this feels like a lot of desperation plays, right? Like they are really trying to make something happen to just slow down P1.
And I think it's a smart move though, like to try to go for the odd man fights, right? You know you're at a disadvantage on the 5v5, so what then should you do? And these are the kind of plays that they need to look for. They need to look for picks. They need to control vision in order to look for those. You know, if they can establish vision in their own jungle and find someone with a Galio and this Elise in.
But let's talk about vision, because look at the 5 control wards on top of P1, and look at all of these extra items that Fnatic is sitting on. Do you really need these 2 cloth armors?
And
do you need the second Doran's ring, the dagger? Like, you could be investing that into vision, which is what you need so desperately, especially. Look, they're trying to set up around Baron now, but the only person being able to drop the wards is Jesiz.
Yeah, there's only one pink on the entire map right now for Fnatic, so definitely not doing the best in the vision control. It is obviously harder from behind to be able to establish that, but you need to work that much harder than, sell those little pieces, can like hold multiple pink wards so you can advance that line, set the defensive line, then move it forward as you can kind of establish control of those areas. The Baron coming up is going to be a very big point of contention. If Fnatic can get it, their siege is still very strong because P1's wave clear is quite bad. So fighting for vision around this area is going to be so important because if P1 can deny that, they could get the Baron perhaps a game.
Yep. Ryu, ultimate taken by
he gets
him,
rooted
but now
up.
MikeYeung's going to flash into the cocoon, cleansed out by Caps, and it looks like Taunt is back on once again. Oh, they managed to delete Xpecial off the map, but here comes Zig. Let's see if he can get hop over the wall right now. Does not want to take it into 5 members of Fnatic. So it ends up being a 1-for-none so far, but it's a tense moment as Caps getting taken low just outside the fight. They look for MikeYeung, not able to finish him off. Rekkles just trying to clear that ward out on the backside, and Arrow gets a spree kill as he takes down Caps. The rest of Phoenix1 looking to keep pushing forward.
And Arrow still has his ultimate available here, so Fnatic has to be very careful if you get chipped down too low. They could look for the re-engage. It was a good start to the fight again for Fnatic, though, because Zig was not there.
Exactly.
They have the 5v4, and they're able to eliminate Xpecial before Zig could arrive.
But then the moment Zig arrives, Fnatic still feel confident because they're 5 versus 4, but then they can do nothing about the front line. It's so easy for Zig to just say, I'm a hungry, hungry crocodile, and I'm going to eat you all, so you guys are going to run. And look, you can just see how he and Arrow are zoning the rest of Fnatic away from the Baron, and now they can set up for the objective themselves.
And remember, this is triple mountain. They are going to shred this Baron so ridiculously fast. Look how quickly it's going down.
It's already done.
Even with a relatively poor team for taking Baron, they absolutely destroy it. That is a P1 Baron. Now it is going to be so hard for Fnatic because Zig can force people to respond to him with that Baron buff in the side lane. And here's the initial play again. Great start to the fight from Fnatic as they can get the start and take out Xpecial before Zig arrives.
And I feel like this is just P1 forgetting that Caps did have the cleanse because they commit super hard and he's just able to quickly retreat. And at this point, if you're Fnatic, you just leave. You just accept the fact that you don't have mid control. Maybe you kill a few minion waves, but then a great cocoon from MikeYeung forces Caps out, and this is where things go crazy.
And it's a tough call to make for Fnatic because even though they do lose this fight, they know they're disadvantaged going to later games, so they feel like they need to get more.
Yeah, for sure.
They feel like they need to win these fights and turn that into a Baron, but P1 still very strong, looking in control of the game. And
big crits, my friend. Big crits.
Yep, that flash, 4th shot. And in Caps' life for sure. Now Fnatic trying to push a little bit into Phoenix1 territory, but Phoenix1 doesn't care about that. They got 3 members pushing up the mid lane right now.
Oh man. I actually wonder, given that he did pick up the dagger, does that mean that Rekkles is not actually going for a Void Staff? And instead, he's going to go for a rapid fire cannon plus QSS, so he doesn't even have penetration to get through that magic resist.
That is actually like a really poor build, I think, for this game. I mean, maybe he wants to eventually sell the QSS and get a Void Staff or something, but like Void Staff is so important to be able to deal the damage as Corki. You are essentially an AP damage source almost entirely at this point, so Void Staff is really what you want.
Boy, they're going to be able to pull in Jesiz here.
Galio coming in.
They get one ultimate, stacking up the knockups, and they look for MikeYeung as he can't take the lantern out. No arrows knocked into the team. Broxah tanking it all, and holy moly, Fnatic managed to Shrek through Phoenix1. It's only Zig remaining.
But how have Fnatic, they've just won a massive team fight against Phoenix1. They should not have done it, but against all odds, they're running down mid lane, and they're looking to end the game.
A miracle fight for Fnatic. This game was over so many times. Everything was going for Phoenix1, but those death timers, 30 seconds still. How big of a crock is Zig?
Well, Zig's trying to delay. I mean, he popped the ultimate pretty preemptively there. He goes in, he takes down one.
All right, he's got Broxah, but all of a sudden he's subject to all that CC, and they can batter and bruise him for days. Shut down on Caps now. That's the ace. And they're looking for Nexus.
Do they have the time? This is, I think they have it still.
It doesn't matter on the comp, it doesn't matter on the champions. Every time Fnatic find a way, and they're gonna find the win.
Against all odds, Fnatic take the victory in the most unlikely fashion.
And it all came down to that one fight. Zig is not with the team. They find the engage again, and P1 did not play around the fact that Galio can find that engage and they can get the 5v4. Fnatic executed that team fight so incredibly well, and I mean, against all odds, really, like their team comp, I think, was so bad. And the fact that they won is pretty ridiculous.
But it's just, I can't believe how Fnatic found a way to win that game. Like, I'm sure the analyst desk will break down that final fight because, like, it all happened so quick. Like, all of a sudden, so many members are dying. I thought that Jesiz had been caught out of position, but then Fnatic find the turnaround. Zig didn't really get involved in the fight. We talked so much about how the real way Fnatic could win is if they could just stop this Renekton getting into the fray, and they do it. They get the turnaround, and now they're sitting 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, all the way to the end. I don't think anyone could really believe how it went down. You saw Fnatic getting up, oh, we won, and then Phoenix1 being like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah, I mean, even Dylan Falco, their coach, you can see his look of disbelief. He's
I mean,
laughing.
You gotta just look at Rekkles. He just goes,
I guess we won.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well done.
I mean, that was something else, but 99% of that game was Phoenix1.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix1 had control of the objectives.
Yep.
They got the Baron. They took all the Dragons.
Yep.
They had a massively more efficient composition. They itemized very well. They're up in gold. They had everything going for them, but Fnatic finds the pick, finds the fight that they needed. And I mean, 5v4, if you can take down those carries, the rest doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to say, guys. That was insane.
Disbelief. Disbelief.
Yeah.
Wow.
But welcome to Europe.
Hey, I mean, there was an old saying, everybody does beat everybody, and in the end, Fnatic wins.
Congratulations to Vedius, you know.
Vedius cast it first time.
You win.
Yeah, I was 0-4.
Now you're 1-4.
Teams. Now I'm 1-4.
Still a pretty good luck charm for NA.
Yeah.
So we thank you.
But talking more about that game, like, it raises big alarm bells for Fnatic moving forward, because what we've identified is that when pushed against the wall for AD carries to play, Rekkles still will not pick Ashe or Varus. Like, Kog'Maw was open too. Like, there were very viable meta AD carries that he said, no, give me Corki.
He didn't want the Vayne, man, so we'll see what goes on the rest of this tournament. Now, Fnatic secured the win with a great team fight. Let's get some insight from our analysts on that game.
I never doubted them.
Yes, you did. I absolutely. There was a lot of doubt during the entirety of that game.
That's true. I did. So if you don't look at the results, where do we rate the Corki pick as an AD carry?
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
I don't know. You pick a full AP comp, and I'm not that big of a fan.
I mean, Corki as a champion is pretty strong right now.
Yeah.
Just generally, when you hit items, it's always going to be powerful. Maybe not necessarily as much in this kind of composition, but
I mean, we're rating it as an AD carry, right?
Rekkles'
so relative to
performance
every
on
other
the
AD
Corki
carry
was 9.
and
He got caught that time in the second half.
Yeah,
Pretty
this is
boosted, but
also
the
at
rest
some
was
point, because he's playing Corki, then he needs to group with the team, and suddenly they're doing stuff as a team. So maybe it's actually
Dylan Falco, mastermind.
having Ken and Band against them. That's all Falco right there.
Maybe.
Can we see the last fight again? Do we have that?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at it now because indeed it all looked lost for Fnatic, but they pulled the trigger and they came up big. Here's another replay brought to you by Acer because this is what it turned it all around. And I am going to keep hyping it up because I heard that it is 1 more second, but we're definitely going to look at it in just 1 second. Wow.
We're going to prep
that
it.
was
just
a fight.
1 more second.
Yeah. That's all Fnatic needed, just a little bit more time. What happened exactly here?
Okay, they have a pick comp and they dedicate to a support kill, and they don't have Renekton TP either.
And they don't repel the Galio ult. So MikeYeung dies right away, but specifically getting Arrow down at the start of that fight was also really huge. They dedicated so hard on that braum.
Yeah. Props to Broxah for finding Arrow in the fight and kick him into the team. And when Arrow was down, it was just clean up for Fnatic.
Absolute cleanup crew. They ran it down the base, and I was just looking at a lot of Phoenix1 stats during this because obviously they were doing really well, and I'm still going to say them because I feel like they still deserve praise for having played very good games up until now and even up until this fight. They averaged 1.9k gold difference at 15 above their opponents, which is the highest out of everyone this tournament. 14-1 Dragons, 5-3 Barons. Phoenix1 is showing up, and TSM is looking like the absolute frontrunner, but I'm absolutely surprised by how consistent they are and how good they've been playing. And Jack, you were the big, you know, doubter, asker of questions about that's not even a thing.
About Phoenix1?
Yes.
As in they weren't very good?
I'm sorry,
so
guys.
So here's the thing, right? This team has been churning around supports and junglers for a really long time. So I'm hoping they can take this momentum back to the North American LCS because they've been struggling a lot in Summer Split. But we know the core of this team can and has worked as it did in Spring with Arrow, Ryu, and Zig. So now that they do feel like they've kind of hit their stride, I think they're back to that form. And that's what's surprising so many people, because we hadn't seen it for several months before Rift Rivals in essentially week 5 of the LCS, where they went 2-0 and beat Immortals.
So are you convinced yet?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, there we go.
I think they're pretty good.
I think Phoenix1 deserves all props. But on the other hand, Fnatic walks away with the win. So if you're a coach, right, and you look at that game from Fnatic, where obviously there's a lot of trouble, there's interesting picks and whatnot. So what do you take away from this?
And I'm the coach of Fnatic?
You are Dylan Falco.
All right, man. I'd probably slap Rekkles a few times because I think there's a lot better AD carry picks out there.
Yeah, but then have you not failed him and pick and ban? Because how does he end up picking that if you're going to be mad at him after?
No. Like, we would have figured it out in pick ban. Like, I can touch that mouse. He's not that far away from me. I could probably touch my player if I need to. That came out wrong.
Keep going.
But yeah, we'll keep going on. I will choose the champion for him if it becomes Corki AD carry. Until, you know, the Korean overlords show me it's good, and then I'll say, you know, I knew it all along.
This is create a problem of power now, because
so
they
what
won.
he's saying is that he's basically a meta slave and not open-minded to new picks. He needs to see the better region show that it's good. So yeah.
But on a serious note, though, yeah, Fnatic, they were kind of a bit down, and they come up with this huge, convincing victory. So
they were really happy about the win, and I think that's great for the momentum, because I feel like they're a team that feeds off of that positive energy. Also, they are the only team to beat Phoenix1. They've done it twice right now, which should actually not be understated, because Phoenix1 has shown up pretty well.
It's like Flash Rolls beating SKT at Worlds.
What are we doing? What I will say is the fact that we are hyped or excited for Fnatic beating the last seed from NA means NA is doing really well this tournament.
Yeah.
The fact that this was even a super engaging game, and we against all odds was the call at the end of the. What odds are they against? They're the favorite of the tournament, beating Phoenix1. Like, come on, that's how much it shifted in the first 2 days.
It's super exciting overall because NA has shown up so strong, and Fnatic really has to be scrappy to be even.
As an EU fan, it is rather disappointing and depressing to watch right now.
Sad.
Because
horrible.
I feel like we in EU should have learned by now that we should probably not trash talk as much before the event and actually just maybe play better.
Hey, I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree. And I will say that when all this was happening, there were some voices, me, that was like, are you sure should we trash talk this much? Is this wise? But that's how it is. You look, you think how you're going to perform, and then you don't perform that way, and it's all good. Yeah, right?
I mean, at the end of the day, the all-time win-loss record of NA versus EU is as close to 50-50 as it's going to get. Day 1 was 4-2 in favor of NA. Today is currently 3-2 in favor of NA and could very well be 3-3. So as much as we feel like EU has been sucking or NA has been doing great, it's still actually really close.
It is really close, and there's one battle that'll be super close as well. The Unicorns of Love take on TSM once again and to look to take their second win of the day.
We're going to make it.
We are.